smiling, when you're smiling.
Good evening, afternoon, and morning, depending on when you're listening. This is Mike of the Fellow Foxes podcast. Welcome to our second episode. It's great to have you back if you're coming back. Great to have you here if it's your first time. We are going to be covering the Leicester Burton Albion game. It was a great game. Obviously, if you're a Leicester fan, not so much if you're a Burton fan. Leicester put on a great performance. They dominated the whole game. They looked like they were playing against a team that was not anywhere near them. So we are going to get right into it. Let's check the lineups in this game. So we had starting in goal Jakub Stolarczyk. Great youth product for Leicester. It's good to see him getting some minutes. In the back line, we had Callum Doyle, Wout Faes, James Justin. Thought I would see James Justin in, I guess, that pivot role. It was interesting to see him doing more of the defensive role, but he's good at it, so it's not a bad thing to see him there. It's just that, with his offensive capability and his pace, you thought you might see him maybe where Hamza was. But then we're going to get to the midfield with Mavididua. I say his name wrong horribly every time. Chowdhury, Winks, and Albrighton. It was good to see Albrighton getting some minutes. He definitely has been a great servant and deserves to be a part of this. I definitely think he's championship level for sure. He's got that amazing right foot, early crosses out the wazoo. So good to see him in there. Again, Winks just getting bedded into the system more. I guess Maresca really doesn't want to take him out too much. He wants him to get his bearings. He wants him to really start feeling like he's the quarterback of this offense, so to speak. Then in those advanced 8 roles, you have Pratt and Ndidi. Wilf is just surprising everybody. So great to see him having a resurgence after everything that he's been through with this club. And of course, you have Kelechi Iheanacho up top, which I'm sure thrilled everybody because he's got the skill set for this type of system that we're playing here. So yeah, that was the lineup. It was good to see those changes. Good to see some people getting in. In the first half, we had a Kelechi Iheanacho goal early. Yeah, he's definitely too good for this league. You can see it. We need to keep him. He received a cross from Albrighton and just back-heeled, volleyed, shotted the ball past the center back. I mean, the defenders were pretty dismayed that they let that go in, but he's too good. What are you going to do? Then we were pretty dominant after that, I would say. We continued to just hold the ball, have these beautiful patterns of passing, little triangles. The team looked very sharp. Even some of these players that came in that are maybe not going to be starters or they're still competing for their place, they seem to hold their own. You can definitely see the drop in quality in some positions. I noticed Hamza especially. He's not an amazing passer. He might not have the softest touch. And Albrighton obviously doesn't have the pace that you might want on that outside. But still, a lot of these players held their own. I mean, the ratings that they got are pretty good. Everyone was, sitting around 6.5, 7s or above. One thing I wanted to note was Marçal and what he was doing to his fullback. He multiple times was being tugged by this fullback. It was amazing to watch him just start to grow into the game as it went on. He seems like he's going to be a productive player for us. So that's one thing to keep an eye on as a Leicester fan is trying to get him more minutes, trying to get him more game time, and definitely seeing him advance as a player and grow. We also had just basically the whole first half was like a training game for Leicester. I maybe would compare it to the Northampton Town game. It was just dominance on the ball. I mean, just unrivaled amounts of possession. It's obvious that, that team is, I believe they're a League One team, definitely nowhere near us. We don't look like we should be playing teams like this, but it is so encouraging to watch Leicester play good football. It is so encouraging to see these players happy, so encouraging to see them wanting to give their all again, because under Rodgers, for at least most of last season, most of them did not want to do that. You could see it on their faces. I mean, I've written extensively about how Yuri Tielemans was he was a pariah last season. It's just the worst. You could see he didn't want to be here. You could see he didn't want to care, and that's what we need to get rid of. And it seems like Maresca is doing his best to just instill a new hunger in these players that they didn't have before. Because I truly believe he tells these players, you know, we're going to win the championship. I'm going to see to that. But when we get back to the Premier League, we're gonna hold our own as well. So beautiful football going on in the first half, and then another goal in the first half. Kelechi Iheanacho gets through off a quick free kick taken by Callum Doyle, I believe. Yeah, so Doyle takes the free kick fast. Kelechi's on his bike, runs down to the touchline, and then does a beautiful cutback after he sucks in the goalie and maybe two defenders, at least one, if not two. Just cuts it back, and Wilf, what a finish. What a finish from Ndidi. I mean, I'm glad that he's doing it because he's making those late runs into the box, but you don't expect that nice cushion ball right into the top right corner. Just beautiful. And how excited he was. You saw the smile on his face and how happy he was. Maresca is rejuvenating these players, and it's beautiful to see. I can't say the word beautiful enough to describe what is going on at the club right now. And I know it's early days. I know we're not playing particularly difficult opponents, but this is great. You don't want it starting the other way. You don't want to get, knocked out of the cup game in a horrible, embarrassing fashion. You don't want to lose to your rivals or in a derby first day of the season at home. So in terms of how this season could be going, so far it's absolutely perfect. I mean, there could be some better things. I really wish Connor Cody wasn't injured, and it's looking like they're not really giving anything on that. They're not saying too much, and it could be because the injury is serious enough that he might be out for a decent chunk or half or more of the season. They don't want to admit it because they're still maybe looking for a replacement. Hope that doesn't give it away for all the scouts and teams that are watching this podcast, obviously. But yeah, so there's definitely things that could be better for this team. Everything isn't perfect, but for how much fans had doom and gloom at the start of the season, with the preseason being so stinted and how disjointed people seemed to think it was going, the start to the season has been a stark difference from how fans were expecting it. So we go into the second half here. I took notes on every minute, and while there were things happening, there really was not much to say about the second half. Leicester dominated the ball. When the game finished, I think Leicester had 75% possession. I mean, they didn't look like they were really trying too hard. So hats off again to the boys. You're implementing these ideas, it seems like, very, very well. Maresca is instilling all of his philosophies and the way he wants to play. It seems like very effectively he's getting across to these players, because you had different people come in and still execute almost to the same degree. So it's definitely encouraging for everyone associated with the club, how well these players are taking these ideas on. One thing I did note in the second half, though, is they did have some turnovers where, again, with superior opposition, whether it be at the top end of the championship or, God willing, we get back up to the Premier League, and during any team in the Premier League, if you have these turnovers, you're not going to survive. So this high risk, high reward system needs to be mitigated in some way in terms of this high line that Leicester play. I mean, I know it's troubled City. We've seen City at times be troubled by their high line, and they're finding solutions. And I'm not saying we're City. We're definitely not City. But we need to figure out some kind of stopgap for what happens when we turn the ball over. And really, I think that what Maresca is going to instill is, don't turn the ball over in those positions. Pass it back to the goalie. Pass it back to someone further backfield, not try a progressive pass and turn the ball over. So just reflecting after this game, some things that I was dwelling on. It's seeming like we have a deep squad. We had some subs come in, perform well. It's all you can ask for at this level, that these guys come in. They might not start every week, but the manager obviously is saying, look, when we have a lot of games this season, which we will, there's going to be chances for people to come in and make their mark, and I just need you sharp. And it looks like the players are answering that call. So he's definitely getting across to them. I think we learned that Kelechi should be starting in this game. He's so good at hold up play. He's so physical up on the center backs, and he came from Manchester City. He's played like this before, it would seem, and he seems to be very well suited to this play style, more so than Vardy. Unfortunately, it hurts me to say it, but it just looks like he is tailor made to play in this system, and we definitely can't let him leave. But even more so, I think he needs to be starting over Jamie Vardy. The academy players that we have look decent. I'm not going to say that we shouldn't go out and look for depth. I think we're going to need it. If there's an injury to a winger, we're going to be in trouble. So depth is needed. Not saying we just can carry on with these two academy wingers and go through the season, but they look like they can do the job. They look like, with a little bit more work on the training field, with their finishing, with their decision making, and just encouraging them to dribble and take on players, they will do well, and they will definitely be able to do a job for us if they stay healthy, and they keep on doing what the manager asks of them. And it just, again, in summation, this system looks like it's coming along very, very well. The players look like they are receiving these ideas for the most part. There's obviously some wrinkles that we need to work out. Like I said, the turnovers are not particularly encouraging. There's some spacing issues, I guess, between the midfield and the defense, where both games that we've played, it looks like teams can take advantage of this large gap between the back line and the midfield. And I'm sure Maresca is working on the space between the lines and trying to ensure that they fill those gaps. But it's just something that I've been noticing early on in the system that needs some tweaking and some ironing out. But overall, I mean, when they are playing and they're doing these first time passes in midfield, they are just absolutely beautiful to watch. And we have nothing but great times to look forward to if they keep this level of play up throughout the season. There will be hiccups. Everything can't be perfect this year, but I definitely believe if they keep playing this way, if they keep trying to play the way the manager wants and don't get scared and keep doing things maybe don't seem to make sense to them in the moment, but the manager has a method to his madness, I definitely think these players are going to be surprised at how far they can go if they just continue to gel together and adhere to the system. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the game. I know that we have Huddersfield Town coming up on Saturday, so that'll be another nice test. From what I'm seeing and hearing, they're not particularly scary, I guess. All these teams in the league are not pushovers. Some of them might seem like it, but on any day, these teams can come up, and I'm sure with the large target on Leicester's back being the quote-unquote Man City of the championship, that these teams will be looking to get the scalp, because all it can do is try to buoy them and buoy their fan base and get them some momentum for their own season, their own goals. So we have to make sure that we understand that we can't underestimate any of these teams and put in strong performances. And if the manager sees any complacency, that he addresses it immediately and gets someone else in there. Because just with players that don't want to be here or don't want to give their all, it's required in this system. You can see with the backtracking and the pressing that you can't just whoa, had a little alarm there. I guess that means I need to wrap it up. Someone's getting tired of my my yammering here. But in summation, great game. The fans should have so much to chew on, so much to be happy about, and just continue to support this team, continue to enjoy the football that we're seeing, and make sure that you put things in perspective when you're watching. I know that fans down at the ground have been heard, tell them to boot the ball forward and all this, and that's not how we're playing anymore. This is a new era. The game has evolved, and we need to evolve with it. So that we can not only win this league, but go back to the Premier League and go right back to what we were doing, which is disrupting the top six. But it's going to be sign-off time for me here. Again, my name is Mike. Thank you for tuning in to the Fellow Foxes podcast. Again, we had a quick game summation here, not trying to drag your guys' time out. Please tune in for the next episode, which I believe will be a summation for the Huddersfield Town game. Maybe something a little sooner than that. Who knows? But until next time, we will see you on the Fellow Foxes podcast. And this is Mike signing off. Have a beautiful evening. Love each other. Stay safe, stay healthy, and up the boys, up the Foxes.
When you're smiling, when you're smiling.